Okay, I gotta change this light switch in my little shed here. First thing we're gonna do before we turn the power off is we're gonna take this receptacle, this light switch out here. Hey, welcome back to Smith Farm Shenanigans. Today I got a video about electricity. We're going to change a light switch for you today. It can be in your outdoor building like this is here. It could be in your garage, in your home, wherever you may need a switch, on your back porch, wherever. I know a lot of people are intimidated by electricity, and it's a good reason. You can get a little jolt from electricity if you don't know what you're doing, and if you're fooling with messing with a electricity that has high voltage or high current, you can actually get injured pretty badly. So this one though, we're dealing with what we call 120 volts, just 120 volts. It's AC current, which means alternating current, and the current is actually pretty low for this. So although you'll feel it, it'll jar you, it's not going to kill you probably. Now if you got some kind of underlying condition, heart condition, something like that, it could possibly injure you, but more than likely this is not going to hurt you. Now, the first thing we're going to do, you saw a little skid at the beginning there, that was a joke. You always have to turn off your power first. The best way to figure out which breaker, if you don't know which breaker it is in your home or garage or wherever, if you don't know which one it is that turns your power off for the switch that you're going to be working on, well, the easiest way, most homes are labeled, and most garages are labeled. If an electrician does halfway his job, it's going to be labeled. I wired this little building out here so I know where it is, but the first thing you want to do is turn that switch on. Okay, never mind the mess. This is kind of a storage building here, and I use it for a weight room as well. But anyway, so the first thing you want to do, if you see up there, the light is off, right? So the first thing I'm going to do right here, and never mind this insulation, I'm not got it all set out right just yet. Anyway, I'm going to flip this switch on. Now if you saw there, the light came on. So now we're going to go over to the breaker panel, right? Now remember, I've got the cover off of this because I'm still doing work in here, and I wired this all up. I know which switch it is, but let's pretend I don't. When you get to your breaker panel, whether it's in your house or in your building, in your garage, it's not going to be a double panel. See how this has got two and they're connected? It's not going to be one of those. These only use a single. So you're going to look for the singles like these. See how these got one? These aren't. They're connected. If you're replacing a light switch or even a receptacle, it's not going to be one of these two. One of these. Never will it be those. It's always going to be the singles. So let's try the first one. I've only got two in this building. In your house, you may have 15. And if it's labeled, read the label on your panel. Let me see if I can find my panel. I did label it, but I don't see it nowhere. Well, maybe right here. Hang on just a second. No. Yeah. See how I did this here? If you can read that, you can see it says what each thing is. 5 and 6 is an air compressor. 3 and 4 is RV outlets. And 1 and 2, 1 is right side outlets and 2 is left side outlets. So read your breaker panel lid in your house or your home. It's going to tell you what it is. But let's pretend we don't have nothing written down. Well, even if you have 5 or 6, just start off. Flick one off. Turn around, look at this switch. Oh, switch is still on. That's not the breaker it is. Come back over here. Switch that back on. And it may reset your clocks on a couple of things, but that's okay because you got to find the breaker it is. Flip this one off. Now I know you saw the go dark there. Now look, the light is off. That's how you know that is the breaker for the switch that you're looking for. And make sure that everyone else in the house knows that you're getting ready to work on this. So now there's one thing to do. Come in here, screw on the bottom, screw on top. We're going to screw that out, and then I'll show you what to do next. Before I do that, so here's the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a meter, possibly some cutters or some wire strippers, a flat screwdriver, and then this Phillips screwdriver, then this flat screwdriver that I'm holding, right? That's what you're going to need. So next thing we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that switch out from the box. And remember, the power's off, and that's good. That's what we want. So I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got this switch pulled out here, as you can see. And these screws, as you can see here, they're quite long. So just bear with them. Keep turning them out. You'll get them out here in a minute. You know, just keep turning. So now I'm going to show you something back in the box first. So if you're doing a new wire and you're trying to wire up, say you're trying to wire up a porch light, you built a new deck and you want to put up a porch light, and you want to wire one switch to turn it off and on and one light. That's exactly what I have here, and that's light up there that I control. And I've got my installation I'll put in yet, so disregard all that. Anyway, so we got 2 wires running from the breaker box over here, all right? And if you look at the bottom of this breaker, remember, see this one here? It's flipped off. We know that's it. See the wire coming off the breaker? That is a black wire. That's a positive wire. That means that's plus wire. That's what you want to take note of. Always, where you're doing these switches in your cars, no matter what it is, when you're putting an electrical switch, always break the positive. And what I mean by that is what I'll show you here in a minute. But remember what I just said. Always break the positive line. Never break the negative, ever. And if you look up here, this is your ground block. See the green wire coming in here? This green wire? That's your equipment ground. And then over here, your black wire, that's your regular ground. If you see those white wires, they're tied into that bar. Those are all what we call negative wires or ground wires. You never break those when we're wiring up a switch. So we got 2 wires coming from this box to go to the light. Now I could take a white wire and a black wire and run straight to the light, and it'd come on all the time. And I could operate with this. I could operate with this breaker. Just flip the breaker off and flip it on, but you'd wire this breaker out. You don't want to do that. I'm just saying you could do that because you only got 2 wires running from this to your light. So what you got to do first, if you want to wire up a switch, you got to run the wire around your wall and down to where the switch is going to be. And if you look back here, see this right here, this wire nut, and you see there's 3 white wires. I've got a wire coming from the switch. I also got a wire going on to another receptacle on that side, and then I've got a wire going on to the breaker box. Those all 3 wires are negative wires. Remember I said never break those? So those are tied in permanently all the time. You never worry about them. They're always there. They're connected all the time. Now, if you look at the side of the switch, we have a black wire and 2 black wires, right? So again, I got a black wire coming from down here. I've got a black wire coming from the breaker box, a black wire going on to the receptacles, because down here, this switch doesn't affect it. That's power coming in and going straight back out. Doesn't affect anything. It's not broken yet. It's a solid connection, so power's coming through here and flowing straight out to the receptacle I have over there, over on that side. So this isn't broken. But up here, this next screw up, that's what we call your broken connection. And I remember, electricians won't tell you all this because they don't want you knowing all this, because this is such a simple task. So up here, you have your wire going out to your light switch. Now, this light switch, all it does, when it's down, there's no connection going from here. Remember, this is always on. This is power always. It's going on to the receptacle, and it's coming to here. So it's power on. Remember, we're breaking the positive. That's the one that's tied to the breaker. And now, so there's no power can get up to here because the switch is off, right? If I flick this switch up, now there's power crossing from this terminal all the way up to here. So now I have power coming in here constantly, going out to the receptacle. And I also have now power going from here up to this terminal and then going out to my light. And that's what triggers the light to come on, because it flows power from here to here. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, before we touch anything, you notice I've never touched it. I'm just only showing you things, pointing them out. I'm not showing you. Even though we got that light off, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here with a meter and check and see if there's power there. Now, see this bright wire back there that has no insulation? That's called your equipment ground. And remember I showed you over here, I showed you this green bar, this green wire rather, and this black wire. They're both tied into ground. You see those negative wires here, right here? Those are what we call equipment grounds. That's the same thing as a ground, all right? When we're doing what we're getting ready to do, we're getting ready to test this with a meter, and I'm going to show you what that means. All right, so, and those of you that have watched my other videos, you've seen this cheap meter here. If you don't have an electrical meter, there's plenty of decent ones out there. If you want to buy a good one, that's great. But if you want to buy something cheap and effective, not Walmart, Harbor Freight has this one for like 25 bucks, and it does about everything you need to do. Now, I got a little battery symbol up there, which means my batteries inside this is getting low. Now, there's a bunch of settings here. I'm going to set this right here because I got one hand. It's kind of hard to do with a camera. Now, so you have all these settings here. So don't get confused with that. I showed you what this means before, and I showed you what farads mean before. But we're looking for current, voltage. So the V on your meter stands for voltage. You got a V here and a V down there, and then there is no more V's, right? So V and V. So which one do I use? See a little squiggly mark there? Beside that, when you see a squiggly, that means AC, or alternating. Because alternate current switches back and forth, so it's squiggly. It makes a squiggly line on the graph. I'm going to explain that more to you. You don't need to know all that. Then the direct lines here, so you got a direct solid line, direct dotted line. That's for positive and negative, but they're straight. That means direct current. So DC. So VDC, volts direct current, is not what we're working on. That's for cars and things like that. Alternating current, AC, is for your houses, your garages, and your outbuildings. So this is the setting we need to use. Remember what I told you at the beginning? This is on 120 volts. So all we got to do is set it to 200. If you see there, my little arrows on 200 volts. Now, we're going to take a voltmeter and make sure there's no power. Now, what you do, I'm going to try to do this while I'm holding you, and it kind of might be a little difficult. So bear with me if the camera's a little bit shaky. I'll apologize in advance if it is. So we're going to touch this over here to this negative. See where that is? I got it on that bare wire down there. And then we're going to touch this to the positive. Try to do it with two hands. See there? Now look. See, I've got that negative to the bare and red to the positive. And over here, I have no voltage, right? Now I'm going to turn the breaker on. I'm going to show you what voltage looks like. Now look. See the switch is up there? It's up, right? Power is on the light. If I turn this switch down, then remember what that does. That breaks the connection between here and here. So there's no power going to the light no more. So it's off. Now, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Again, we're going to run our negative, and bear with me if it's shaky for a second. Just give me a break here. This is kind of hard to do with one hand and film too. Okay, now, well, if I can get it on there, just bear with me. Okay, so sorry about that. Apparently my meter is too low to read anything. The battery is. I showed you that battery symbol. So anyway, you should not get voltage here if you're working on this. All right. So all you gotta do, if your switch has like mine, multiple wires on one terminal, remember to take a picture with your phone. Okay. And what you're gonna do is if you can turn it around here, you can see. There, I can't see it on this one because I don't want to take those wires. Let me see if I can see it on this side. Anyway, you just got to put your switch in the correct position. See how this says on? So if you turn that switch and that says off, so you can see that. So if you turn the switch upside down, then you know you're wrong. So make sure your switch is upright, and then take a picture of your old switch before you take it out, so you know to put those two wires, and you may want to label those with a piece of tape or whatever. You'll pull those out. All you gotta do is take the screw out and pull them out. Take the screw out up top, pull the wires out, put your new switch in the exact same way. Slide the wire in, tighten the terminal down. Slide those two wires in, tighten the terminal down. And then there's an equipment ground goes on the bottom there. See that there? There's a little switch in the bottom, that bare wire right there where my fingers are. There's just a green screw on the other side, and you tighten that down. And that's all there are to it, is changing a switch on anything. Now, if you're, like I said, if you're putting in a new switch, you run one 12-2 wire, 12-2 with ground, from your switch box over to your receptacle. And then you run another piece of wire. See how I got that wire running from the top of that light right there? See how it's running over? Run that over and down to your switch. You'll tie all your whites in together, which stands for your negative. Remember, those are not broken ever. You tie those together, and those they're all tied in. Then you just take all the blacks. You find the black that's coming from your switch, right? The one up here. I mean your light, rather. Sorry. Find the black that's coming from there. The black wire. And that goes on the top of your switch. When it's in the off position, like this one is here. Let's see if it says off there. So try and get your focus off. See, that's going to go on the top of your switch. That's the one that runs to your light. These two here will run from. Well, you may not have to. If you're only running a switch from the breaker, you won't have two wires. You only have one black wire coming from your breaker box, and that's going on the bottom. That's going to always have power on it, forever. It only sends power across to this wire when you turn the switch up. And then your light comes on up here, and if you noticed it did. And don't ever do what I'm doing. I'm doing this for show you purposes. You never turn that breaker on while you got the switch loose like this. Don't ever do that. I've got years of electrical training, so I'm aware of what I'm doing, but don't ever do that, please. So that's how simple it is. The switch costs you about $8, so you can literally fix your broken switch for $8. Or if you put a new light in, buy your light, buy your switch and your wire for less than $100. Do this, wire it all up very easily. Electrician is going to cost you hundreds of dollars to come out here and do that job. Now, to change a switch, I don't know what they charge, but I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be at least $75 just to get them out here to look. And then additional cost, whatever the switch they charge you for, they're going to mark it up 40% because they got to make money on that switch. And they're going to charge you labor as well, so you're probably looking at close to $200 just for a 10-minute job. That's all there to changing your switch. Like I said, you can do this entire job with wire, light, switch, and all. If you want to put a new wire, a new light, and a new switch in your garage, on your porch, whatever, you can do this. Depending how far you run in your wire. Now, if you run your wire a couple hundred feet, it's going to be a little more than $100. But if you're only running it 10, 15 feet, 20 feet, you can get by way less than $100 for the switch, the light, and all, depending on what light you buy. But if you hire an electrician to come out here and do that same job for you, you're talking hundreds of dollars. And if it's only your switch that you're replacing, just a light switch like I showed you, even that, electricians are going to probably charge you $75 just to come out and look at it. And then they're going to charge you 40% charge on the light switch itself, just to sell it to you. And then they're going to charge you a labor fee just to put it in for you. Now, if you're comfortable with all that, those guys go to school. They go to law school, and they have to repeat training and all this stuff all along the way. You have to redo their training and whatnot, and that's fine and dandy. If you can afford that, don't worry about it. But if you're a homeowner like me who wants to do everything themselves, and that's what these videos are for, then you can do this entire job. If it's just a light switch that's bad, you can do this entire job for like $10. Buy your switch for $8, and you're done. I pray to God this has helped you. If it is, please leave a like, comment, or share, or even subscribe. It helps this channel grow. And this channel is about helping each other. So I pray you have a blessed day. God bless you. Have a good one.